Hi everybody, it's Paula here from Craftables. Thanks for joining me again today, and this is our layout that we're doing for this week's class. So this is the Summer Fun one. I've used a little bit of Cozy Craft and Uniquely Creative papers on there, and it's a really quick and easy one to do. So I'll just show you that we've done a few little like chevrons down here, and I specifically used this paper because it came from dark to light and it just really blended in with those chevrons coming down the bottom there. Okay, so let's get started. Alright, so I have a piece of just a light blue cardstock there, and I've cut some of these pieces down so that they fit nicely onto my page there. So there's a wee bit of a border around them. So I've got 4 strips there, and I'm using them this way. The paper was actually the other way around, but I wanted to go from dark to light instead of light to dark, so that's why I've done it this way. So what I've done is I've cut them down. And if you purchase the instructions for $5 from our website, which we'll put a link down at the bottom for, you get all the measurements and instructions, full color instructions, and really easy, nice, easy instructions to read as well. So what I've got is I've got a little template here of a chevron, and I'm just going to grab one of them, and I'm just going to trace around it there. So I'm going to put it right on the edges there, and I'm just going to grab my pencil, and I'm just going to trace around one there. Alright, so to save a bit of time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all 4 of these strips together, hold them nice and tight, and I'm going to cut all 4 of them at the same time. So I'm just going to cut up that one there, and the same on this side here, but make sure they're all nice and even and tightly held together. There we go. So those are the first chevrons there. So I want to do another set up there again as well. So I'll just go ahead, keep it into there, and we're just going to put the second one on and trace around that one as well. And then we're going to do the same thing. So we'll cut all 4 of them together again as well. Oops. Okay. So I'm going to put them all 4 together. Make sure you hold them nice and tight so that they don't move. And then we're just going to cut up those ones as well. Okay, so once we've cut those 3 out, I want to make sure that I keep my darker chevrons at the top and my lighter ones at the bottom. So I'm just going to make sure, I'm going to put them aside here and just have the light and the darker where I've cut them out. I'm just going to rub out those pencil lines across there. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that I've got my dark to light, so I want these ones here, which were the next ones I cut out, to go next, and then those ones down there. So I'm just going to make sure that when I put them aside, I have my darker ones at the top and my lighter ones down the bottom there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick these down now so that they've got a nice even gap between them. So I'm going to just place them there to start with, so I know where I'm going to put them, just as an eyeball. And then I'm just going to go ahead, take the tape off the back, and I'm just going to stick them down. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so we've got all 4 strips down there. So I'm going to take my next darkest ones and just line them up across there like that. So now what I'm going to do is when I stick these ones down, I'm going to just leave a little gap between them. So I'm just going to leave maybe 1/8 of an inch gap between each one. So what I'm going to do is I'll start with my bottom one first, and I'm going to line that up so that I've got a little bit of a gap along the bottom here. Make sure you cut your border off before you start putting anything down, because if it's a Cozy Craft one, it will be all blue on one side, and then on the other side you'll have that barcode on there, and we don't want to keep that on there because otherwise it'll be a bit longer than we need. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick all these down now. Okay, so there's all the chevrons put on along the bottom there. So it just looks like it's going from a dark to light, and then we've got those little chevrons coming down there as well. Okay, so the next thing I did is I cut out some little photo mats. Now these are 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 to fit 3 by 4 photos, and I'm just going to position them along here just on a little bit of an angle, and I'm positioning them slightly more to the top than I am to the bottom, just so we have a bit of space to put in this little bit here, and then we can still see the chevrons down the bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to pop those on. Alright, so now I've gone ahead and cut out some of the bits and pieces from one of the Uniquely Creative papers. So I'm just wanting to put the little banner up here. So it's a little bit bigger than my blue, so I'll probably end up cutting that down a little bit. So I'm just going to glue that along the top there. And if you don't have a paper with a banner on it, you can easily make a banner with a bit of string and some washi tape. Just fold the washi tape over top of the string, and then just cut the washi tape into a point on one end there, and that makes a really lovely sort of banner thing like that. So that if you don't have something like this, you can easily make it out of washi tape, no problem at all. Just make sure we stick that down nice and even there. Great. Now I'm just going to cut this little bit off here, so it's because it's overlapping a bit too much there. There we go. Alright, so the next part along here, now I've got this little bit here. This was out of a package I received, and it was just like a packing tape sort of thing, so I thought it would be kind of cool to use. So if you don't have something like this, any sort of die would be fine. Any sort of like, what am I trying to say, one of those netting type of dies, you could use something like that. But this was just out of a box that I had purchased some stuff from, and I thought it was kind of cool, so I thought I'd give it a try. And I'm just going to rip it up a little bit just so it's not perfectly straight along the edges there. And you don't need too much of it. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to rip these little edges off a bit just so they're not so perfectly straight, because we want it to be a little bit rough and ready. Whoops. Here we go. Oops, stuck under there. I'll get rid of that later. Alright, so I'm going to pull it apart a little bit, and I'm going to use it to stretch right underneath there. So I'm just going to put some glue down there. Now you're not going to see this glue under there anyway, because we're going to cover it over with some other cut out stuff. So I'm just going to hold that there for a little while. If you find that the glue is taking too long to dry and it won't hold there, just put a bit of tape down. That'll be nice and fast for you. Okay. Alright, so I've got that stuck down there now. And I have cut out some more of these little bits and pieces. So I'm just going to glue. I might actually put a bit of tape there because it's not sticking down too well. Well, it's not sticking quick enough for me for the glue. So I'll just put a bit of tape there, and we'll just stick that down there. Yeah, that's a bit better. Okay, well, okay, so we need to have the tape. It's a bit better. Alright, so now I'm just going to put this onto the top of that, so I'll use a bit of glue for that as well. Alright, so just stick that onto the top there. And I've cut out quite a few like little flowers, so I've got these 8 little flowers that I've cut out as well. So I've got a couple that I want to pop up onto these little points here, just to cover over those points and make it look a little bit more blended in there. And then I'm going to put a couple down the bottom here as well. So I'll go ahead and glue these down. Okay, so I've stuck all the flowers down. So now my next part to do is the little title down here. So I'm just going to glue the title along the bottom there. You could put it off to one side if you wanted, so you could do a bit of journaling on the other side. I'm just going to put mine right in the center though. Alright, so the last thing I wanted to put on was my bit of toy. So if you can see on my page here, this is a little bit of our New Zealand toy that we get around the place, and they come in really big stalks. So I've just cut off some little pieces of it, and I'm just going to sort of cut off about that much. So I don't want too much on there, so I'm just going to cut that down. And then I am going to splay it out a little bit, so I want it to pop in under there. And I'm just going to let it splay itself out there. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue down the middle there. And I would probably put your photos down before you start gluing this down, just so that you can pop it over the top of your photos a little bit. I'm going to put that one in the middle there. Just pop that down. There we go. There we are. So we've got that bit of toy on there as well. If you wanted to, you could put some more down here if you want. You could do whatever you like with that. So I've got another bit here that you could pop down there as well and have a bit of seed looking toy on there. But that's the layout for how I've done it there, and I hope you give it a try, and thank you so much for joining me again. I'll see you next week. Bye.